What's up, everybody? This is Like It's 1985, and this is a review of Masters of the Universe Classics Battleground Teela. First, let's have a very quick look at the standard Classics packaging here. And on the back, you have a look at the other figures in the wave, or the line: Evil Lyn, Man-at-Arms, He-Man, Carnivus, and Zodak. And it's worth reading through the bio, but basically what it says is that Battleground Teela is a clone of the Sorceress of Grayskull. So there you go, a little background information. To start off this review, I'm going to compare Teela here with some other DC Universe Classics and Marvel figures. Starting off with DCUC Raven. A little height comparison there, and you can see Teela is definitely taller. And as you well know, these DC Universe Classics figures are really tall on their own, but you can see in comparison how tall Teela is, and pretty much that carries through with all of the Classics figures. They tend to be really tall, which is good. Next up, comparison with Marvel Legends Spiral. Pretty much I chose this comparison because they both wield swords and they're both female characters. And Spiral is just leaning back a little bit, but you can see she is also shorter in comparison. And finally, from the latest Marvel Legends line, here is Hope. And you can see she is also shorter. So, with that said, let's take a look at Battleground Teela herself. As you can see, she does wield two weapons. One is a gun, which is bent, and that's due to the being in packaging. But it's fairly nicely detailed. It's got a vibrant silver color there, and she has a sword. And the sword does fit in really well. You have to basically pry her fingers apart to get the grip in her hand, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because it holds the sword in really well, but you kind of worry that it's going to warp the plastic over time. But yeah, she's got a pair of nice weapons, and let's just take a look at the figure herself. And starting off with the face, of course, with any female character, you want to have a good face sculpt, and I'd say this is a pretty darn good face sculpt for a female character. The hair itself is one solid piece of plastic, so it does tend to get in the way a little bit, but that's alright, doesn't bother me too much. It's finely detailed. Not too much really to say about the costume. Except for the fact that there's very little of the costume. However, there's one thing. It's going to be a little bit strange that I mention this, but her sports bra here, her medieval sports bra, is actually a separate piece of plastic. And so I was curious, is it actually attached to her breast there? And it actually is not. This is actually a separate piece from her actual body sculpt. So, much like a Barbie doll, she does have female anatomy underneath this sports bra. So, just, I don't know why I found that to be, I don't know why I was curious about that, but I gotta be honest with you, I was. So, yes, this is a separate piece of plastic. Articulation, well, the head appears to be on a ball joint. It's kind of loose. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of loose. The way that her head sits on the neck joint, and you can see it does have a range of articulation there. Arms go around, out to the side like that, swivel at the bicep, a bend like that, only a 90-degree bend, but bend there, rotation at the wrist. There is no ab articulation, but I can certainly understand why they would not choose to use the joint there, because it would ruin the look of the female torso there. But you do have waist articulation. However, it's the type of waist that if you move it to the side like that, you can see you have this odd look to her waist. So you really don't want to rotate her waist at all, really, due to the fact that that's the way they chose to engineer that joint. So I would just leave it like that. Like I said, otherwise you're going to have weird overhanging plastic here and a big chunk of plastic there. Articulation at the legs is a little bit limited because of the fact she has this piece of clothing here that hinders articulation. This is a really solid chunk of plastic. So while there is a joint there, it really is hindered. Leg can go forward about like that. Back just a very, very little bit. And out to the side like such. And you have a bend at the knee there. A swivel joint at the top of their boot. And you actually have, I just noticed this now, but she does have the pivot. So not only can she move her ankle like that, but you have side-to-side pivot like that, which is kind of cool. There isn't really a whole lot much more to say about this figure, although I have to say that overall the sculpt is very pleasing to the eye, and what I mean by that is a lot of the time when they try to add articulation to a female figure, it just doesn't work out so well. So I think they had the right amount of articulation. I mean, like I said before, they could have added a joint here for ab articulation, but that would have ruined the look of her torso. So, and again, I don't really like the way that they chose to use this or engineer this joint here at the waist. But if you want waist articulation, I guess you're going to have to live with that. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say. It's again, it's nice, a nice female sculpt. It's going to look good next to my other female action figures, so I'm pretty pleased with it. Alrighty, thanks for watching. This has been a review of Masters of the Universe Classics Battleground Teela.